you've had this hooked up or it's not working at all, it doesn't have any power or anything, we can check a few things. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just, the lift's not working, the key fob isn't doing anything, and the front board's not working. So what we can do is we can come right here, we can take off these 4 screws here and take this front panel off. So real quick, real easy. Take this front panel off, be real careful, because again, you've got a bunch of wires connected here and everything. In this case, the board wasn't working, the key fob wasn't working. So this is connected to this little circuit board here, and we have replacement parts for this if we need to. This controls both this board and it controls the key fob itself. So there is a way to test to see if it's one of these items or possibly that item. So in each one of these are contactors. So the one on the left is your up, the one on the right is your down. If you notice, there's a little square right here. So in the case that you have power, you would actually turn the power on. Again, be careful because there are a lot of wires in here. But what you would do is you would just test up and down. So you would just come here and engage that little button right there. If I do that and the lift goes down, then that's great. If I do this and the lift goes up, then that's exactly what we want. That means there's power coming into here, but there's either something wrong with this right here or this board right here.
Okay.
So we've already taken this off. We determined that something's wrong with this right here. And again, this controls the remote and the board. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and disconnect everything. So we're going to disconnect the board here and disconnect this 10 key. Again, just pulling those off and setting over here to the side. Carefully pull this out. And you may have to work a little bit to pull it out. So we're going to do that. There are little wires right here, and so what we're going to do is we're just going to loosen those. Again, if you want, take a picture. It's also in our things, but you got
blue, red, and yellow.
Yep. So you got the brown and the blue coming from the power supply,
which is your jumpers, right?
Yep. And then these are going to be your up and down and your common. And if you look, they're actually labeled, and so they tell you what they go to.
All right.
So another thing to note, so we're going to replace this part, but a thing to note is this should be, unless you have a limit switch, this should be off. So there's an on and off switch. And then this is your antenna to your key fob, which you want extended and goes along the bottom of the remote itself. To undo these, all you have to do is just take a little bitty screw, and as you unscrew these, those will loosen up.
Be careful not to lose these.
Well,
do they come out?
They do not.
Okay.
These do not come out. And so you will take those. The biggest thing is to remember your configuration as far as wires. So again, yellow, red, blue, and those will come out. You have the board, and then we have a replacement board in which we will bring and set back up.
Purchase at bh-usa.com.
So when you're doing this, again, you'll pay attention to the color combination and what you're labeling them. You'll take these and put them back in order, and then this just slides back down in there.
Okay.
Okay. So if you have an old motor, or if something's happening where it's only going up and not going down, or if it's not doing anything, but we know there's power, then there's probably something going on in the motor that we need to rewire. Now, again, all of these are designed for the Elite motor, so you should be able to go color to color and shouldn't have to do this. But if you're using some other type of motor, other brand, odds are you're going to have to get into the motor and do some things. In our guide, we have several configurations that show you how to wire it in here. So if you do that, what you're going to do is you're going to go to the motor itself, and we're going to have to just rewire it according to what our plans say. So if you come right here, you're just going to take off this little plate here. And Don't do that if you're in the water, because then it's going to drop and you'll never find it.
I'm being so painful.
Make sure when you're doing this that the power is off. Don't ever do this live. I'm going to take this plate off. And what you're going to do is you're going to pull these wires out. Sometimes it does help if you loosen. That'll allow you to kind of push a little bit, be able to get these wires where you have a little more room.
Yeah, sometimes they're really in there.
Sometimes we've got them in there pretty good, so we're just going to pull that out. Allows us to see the wiring and what's going on. In this case, if you look, these are T wires, so you would go to the book and you would actually look under what says T wires or standard T wiring, and it'll show you the configuration of how this needs to be wired to work with the Elite remote. Okay, so here again, if we had an issue and for some reason the motor needed to be rewired, we have the instructions on how to do that, to change direction or if there's something going on with the configuration. So what you would do is you would try to get the motor and you're just going to get inside of it. So we're going to come right here and we're going to carefully take off these screws here. So in this one, again, we're going to loosen this up a little bit and try to get our wires to where we can see what's going on. And at this point, this is a standard wire, so you would look at the wire diagram and wire it up to the instructions, and your Elite remote will work after doing that.